everybody, welcome to Tpull's Corner. Travis. I wanted the first originally. See, this is called Mill plus Draw, but there isn't a whole lot of mill in there. I've got one copy of Thieves Guild Enforcer, and when the rogue enters the battlefield, each opponent mills 2 cards, and I've got some other rogues in here to help bounce off of that. But the only other one I have is one copy of Teferi's Tutelage. So it's mostly draw, but I've got a little bit of mill plus mostly draw. And the only new card that I really slipped in here was Teaching of the Archaics, which is actually a sorcery lesson, but I like the idea of card draw. And so this was the new Strixhaven card that I decided to put in here. I'm not sure if it fits because, as you'll see, the rest of the deck concentrates so much on card draw that I should actually have more cards in my hand than my opponent for most of the time. But it's kind of there as backup in case things go wrong, and I have nothing left except this card, and my opponent's just kicking my butt. So it's kind of like emergency backup, but if I'm doing everything correctly, it'll actually be a completely unnecessary card. So I've got 63 cards in the deck, and let's see, 3 Dismal Backwaters, 1 Temple of Deceit to scry, and just a couple of Clearwater Pathways. That's the land. Overall, 18 creatures and 24 lands. And going through it, we have 4 Compound Fractures. I'm assuming I'm going to come up against a lot of aggro decks, even back then when I first started, like a year and a half ago, coming onto the arena. You saw a bunch of, what was it, like the white aggro decks were still in vogue back then. There's always mono red goblins, it seems like, no matter what. So Compounders, dead weight. 1 Mutual Destruction. To get rid of a creature, you have to sacrifice one of your own creatures. The Thieves Guild Enforcer, those are all the 1-drops. I have 1 Essence Scatter, 1 Keep Safe, because I only have 18 creatures. It's not a lot, but it's not too bad. But I did want to try and see if I get one good creature down that I think is advantageous, that I had one ability at some point in the game to just really defend them. 1 copy of Unsubstantiate, return target spell or creature to its owner's hand. So I could use this to save one of my creatures or get rid of a pesky enchantment, that kind of thing. 1 Boot Nipper that you can give Death Touch or Life Link to. 1 Heartless Act for removal. 1 Infernal Scarring that gives a creature +2 for power, and when the creature dies, draw a card, so you can start to see my draw card advantage here. Masked Blackguard with Flash that you can pump up in case the match goes on for a little bit of time and I get some land down and I need a mana sink. 1 more attempt at controlled removal here, Drown in the Lock, where you can counter a spell or destroy target creature. This one is, I'm not sure how useful this is going to be, because if I get it early on, and you can see I don't have a lot of mill cards, it might not be immediately usable, because you're really depending on how much they have in their graveyard. 2 copies of Library Larcenist, so it's a Merfolk Rogue, so it works with Thieves Guild Enforcer if I have Thieves Guild Enforcer already out. But whenever the Library Larcenist attacks, you draw a card. And the thing to remember to use this card well is you don't necessarily always care if it survives, as long as you do manage to attack and draw a card with it. So you use your best judgment. Sometimes you wait and hold it. Sometimes you have to use it as a chump blocker. But its special ability only works if you go on offense. So sometimes if things look a little bad for you, just go ahead and suicide it and go and try and draw that next card. Teachings of the Archaics. I like the artwork. Teferi's Tutelage. Thieving Otter. Similar to Library Larcenist, whenever they deal damage to an opponent, you draw a card. They're just not a rogue. 1 Sea Dasher Octopus, so I've got to let them mutate in this deck, and whenever the creature deals damage to a player, you draw a card. So I can turn any one of my other creatures into a Thieving Otter or Library Larcenist, or I can double down and make sure if one of these guys gets through, then they're drawn 2 cards, because I flashed the octopus onto them. 1 copy of Foreboding Fruit, usually to dig deeper into my deck to get something. Another flash card, Liliana Standard Bearer. You have to remember, when Liliana enters the battlefield, you draw X number of cards or X the number of creatures that died. It's not X number of creatures that died total. It doesn't matter if you killed your enemy's creature, okay? It's only number of creatures that died under your control for the turn that you get to draw cards. So there's another possible draw card advantage. Silver Smoke Ghoul, in case I get any lifelink. Again, here you can see you can sacrifice them to draw a card. I got 2 of those. Suffocating Fumes to get rid of a Scoot Swarm if I get 5 or 6 1/1s down opposite me. Grim Tutor to go search for a card that's necessary. Once I had to just go search for an island because I kept getting blue blue spells and only swamps. So I felt bad, but I won the game. So I used the Grim Tutor to go get the island, and everything was good after that. 1 copy of Murder, 1 Nighthawk Scavenger, which is also a rogue. Flying, so I finally get some flying defense in here. Death Touch and Lifelink. Obsessive Stitcher, where you can draw a card and discard a card, and you can sacrifice the Obsessive Stitcher, return a target card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So if they get rid of any one of those other creatures and I want them back, this is my pathway to that. Another Slither Wisp Flash creature. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. Whenever you cast another spell that has Flash, you draw a card and each opponent loses 1 life. So I don't have a ton of Flash, but I've got the Thieves Guild Enforcer. Let's see, what else do I have? I got the Masked Blackguard, and we just went over Liliana's Standard Bearer. So that's 3. Where's the other one? I had 2 copies of Capture Spear to tap enchanted creatures, and the Dirge Bat has Flash. So, and finally the Lockmere Serpent and Blitz Leech have Flash, and so does Pouncing Shore Shark. Okay, I take it back. I have a lot of Flash cards in here, okay? So we kind of got, I don't know if I should call this the Mill Draw deck or if I should call this the Flash Mutate Draw deck. That might be more appropriate. But it's kind of interesting because I've got a couple of different options. So if I get this card down, some of the other cards will synergize with it. If I get this particular card down and it stays, some of the other cards will synergize with it. So I've got a couple of different engines that could really start kicking as long as we have one particular card down first, it stays for a little bit. 1 Crypt Lurker. If they paralyze one of my creatures, I could sacrifice it to draw a card if I bring this one in. Bake into a Pie for not just removal, but to give me a chance to gain some life, which might be needed. Dirge Bat, you can mutate it onto another creature, and when you do, you destroy an opponent, target creature, or planeswalker. 1 copy of Pouncing Shore Shark, which you can return a target creature to an opponent's hand. Blitz Leech. This is, most people are used to seeing the Massacre Worm, which costs 8 to get down. This one is a little more targeted. With the Massacre Worm, they do like everything, right? Every creature gets -2/-2. In this case, it's Flash. It's only 6, and 1 creature the opponent controls gets -2/-2, and there's no life penalty like in Massacre Worm. So this is only a leech. It's not a worm. So maybe it's some sort of weird biological offspring of the Massacre Worm. But yeah, it's got Flash, so I like it for that, and it's a little more targeted. It's a little cheaper. Lockmere Serpent. Well, final one. This is usually included with the standard Mutate decks, but it's got a couple of different features in there. The biggest one you usually end up doing is you usually end up with this in your graveyard one way or the other, and you exile 5 target cards from an opponent's graveyard to bring it back to your hand. When you do get it down, hopefully later in the game you got enough land to spare, you can sacrifice a swamp, gain 1 life and draw a card, so you can see yet again a draw card advantage, or you can sacrifice an island and make sure it can't be blocked and maybe help just win the game. Alright, so that's the deck. Like I said, I haven't really modified or tweaked this that much. The only things that I did was when I got a couple of pathways, I added them in, and when Strixhaven came out, I decided to try Teachings of the Archaics. That's really the only big changes that I've made to this in the last year and a half. So we're going to take it out for a spin and see how it holds up under the modern day thing after all these other expansions have come out over the last year and a half, and we'll see how it does. All right, in the meantime, remember, we need your help to grow. We want you to spread the word to let other people know. We want you to hit the subscribe button. We want your friends who come join you to hit the subscribe button. Let's get the word out. Thanks. Oh, excellent start. This is actually very good for me, I think. I've gotten so used to only getting 2 lands, I forgot what it was like to get 3 lands in your starting hand. Didn't have a good 1 or 2 drops, so I like the fact that I got my tap lands early. And now, let's go ahead and bring out the Ghoul. As long as my opponent doesn't zap him with an exile spell, I'll be good. I like to pair the ghoul with mutual destruction because it's easy to get him. He should want to make this trade. Power 3 versus 1 power. Only 18 creatures, so we might be reactionary for a little bit. I actually want to save the Pouncing Shore Shark until I have a different creature to mutate it onto, and the enemy has a creature out. Assuming this particular deck has creatures. For all I know, they're just going to do a bunch of instants and sorceries. You see, now this is why I maybe shouldn't have Teachings of the Archaics in here. If I get it too early, and the enemy's actually got fewer cards than I do. I need you to put a permanent on the battlefield. Give me something to do here. That's not what I meant. That is not helpful at all. I'm gonna need to look, if I spend this, it does me nothing, right? So maybe that's a hint that the one tweak that I did to the deck was probably the worst possible thing I did to the deck at all. I think it's just because I fell in love with the card when I saw it. This is going to be a tough game. I don't think I have a way to get rid of the enchantment easily. I've got one that I could send it back into his hand. And then I'd have to have drawn in the lock immediately after that. What happens if I flash in? You got a counter? Let's that through. That's why. Okay. So what do we want to do? Try it again. Go another unsummon. Let's just leave it like that for a minute. Unsummon again. Okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and do this. Let's get rid of you. Not looking good for me. And this deck doesn't really have a board wipe. Alright, they're mostly tapped out, so I can at least get my creature out. Alright. This next one is gonna hurt. He's probably gonna swing in with a bunch of people. Well, not people, creatures. he count? Does the weird count as a person? A weird person? He's tapped out, so if he does want to attack with the Sphinx, I've got a shot to get rid of that at least. But maybe I should get rid of the 4/4 instead. He's spending a long time thinking about that one. Okay, he doesn't want to risk it because I got the Dirge Bet out. That was all during my turn. I'm not sure there's anything I can do to save this at this point. Just losing the tempo from that teaching of the archaic, that one useless casting spell. He took the momentum, hasn't given it back since. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to take that card out. Go back to the original. That's why even if you really like a particular card, you have to think about the concept of your deck. Most of my deck is already centered around drawing cards. This one is really more around the idea of if you know you can empty your hand quickly. And in my experience, this deck, I tend to accumulate cards more than not and hold them. We're just going to take all of that. I could use another compound fracture, right? Yeah, still wouldn't save me. It's too much on the field. So one problem with playing the Rotoform and Shark Typhoon type people is they really take a long time to think about what they want to do. He's not being rude or walking away. He's actually sitting there thinking about his choices. Even though he's got me pretty much dead to rights next turn, he's still thinking about his scry choices for a really long time. Where's my button to tell him that he's going to be on a YouTube video? He needs to speed it along. Okay. That was pretty bad. I can get rid of one shark. If he lets me. Ta-da! Oh, I should have put this on it. Then I would have been able to draw another card. Didn't even summon another creature. No, well. Alright, I gotta go take out the new card. Go back to default. Be right back. Okay, I went ahead and took out Teaching of the Archaic. I was going to show you, but I had that with another battle. And, well, the guy just sat there and wrote to me until I won, so didn't really want to waste your time with that one. But I took Teaching of the Archaics out. Let's see. Let's get the other land that's only one choice out first. It looks like I will need the second one to be black. At least to start with. Alright, the first choice is going to be Nighthawk Scavenger. If he has a plummet, this was a bad choice. If they choose this card sleeve, does that mean they have that dragon in their deck? So yeah, the Strixhaven card, Teachings of the Archaic, it's a lesson. So it was really designed to be in the sideboard, and so if I want it to be in my deck, I should have a different card that has the learn capability, and then I can go into my sideboard and grab Teachings when it's appropriate, when I need it. And I didn't realize that when Strixhaven first came out, because it was a new mechanic with this learn and lesson feature, and I know that now. So if you're a newer player and you haven't dealt too much with Strixhaven, pay attention to the ones that say that they're lessons. The lessons really do belong in the sideboard for the most part. There are some people that'll stick, you know, the early land spell or the early scry spell. They might stick them in the main deck. It's not that you can't do that, but for the most part, they are designed to be in your sideboard. Alright, the Nighthawk Scavenger gets more powerful the more different types of cards go in the opponent's graveyard. So he went from 1 power to 3 power because of the card types. Okay, so he starts with the default of 1 and he adds for each one. So the land type and the creature type, that's +2. That's how he works. I'm looking at using this guy a lot when Innistrad comes out and we have a bigger focus on vampires, because I really like this card. Maybe I'll have 4 in a deck instead of 1. And the more I pay attention, the more I see the Zendikar icon on a lot of stuff. Zendikar had a lot of good cards. They kind of give you the hints in the background. They still show you the floating rocks. It has become representative of all things Zendikar with the landfall theme. Am I going to be in another battle where my opponent just sits there and... Wait, you discarded a land? What is going on? Did he walk away? Did you have to go use the potty? Am I playing against the computer? We're just gonna rope again. You know what I'll start doing is I'll just be silent and I'll get my crack editing team to edit out all of the big long pauses my opponents take. Yeah, I've got a big group for my crack editing team. I got like half a dozen people. It's just an awesome team. They work non-stop to make these videos just the cream of the crop of YouTube videos you can watch. So yeah, I'll put them to work on that. And when I'm silent, you see the ropes, they won't last long because my crack editing team's just going to take those right out. Okay, I think my opponent is present now. And what do I want to do? I think I want to do this. I want to get rid of that guy now. I'll give up my Masked Blackguard for it. Seems like a fair trade to me. Put down Thieving Otter. And attack. 2 more cards go in the graveyard, and Thieves Guild Enforcer becomes a 3/2 with Death Touch. I like the fact they did that because I can wait and see whoever they want to put the extra 3 counters onto, I can get rid of them. In the meantime, do they want to block, chump block Thieving Otter or sacrifice 2? They're just going to chump block him. Perfect. And that spoils that. If you're playing blue in your deck, always have some type of unsummoned spell, even if it's only one in the deck. That's a tip from your Uncle Larry. We don't want to do that yet. We want to wait and see, is he going to do anything else? He's got 5 untapped mana. Is he just going to bring one down? Going to bring the same one down. Do you have anything else in there? I can just fly over. I don't even need to use that spell. Okay, he knew it. Alright, so that's the lessons we're learning so far, right? Teachings of the Archaic, keep in your sideboard, don't put it in your main deck unless you've specifically designed your deck for that. And yeah, always have at least one unsummoned in your deck if you're playing blue. They come in handy. Let's see what your deck looks like. You got too many cards anyway. You got more than 60. Snow deck, Kaldheim cards. Alert, alert, alert. This fish that's escaping out of the back of her head, is that a spell she conjured? Or is that like a pet? Okay. Be aggressive. Be aggressive. This channel was originally designed as an instruction manual for the newer players, so I have to remind myself every now and then to say some things that the veteran viewers may already know, but I'll add them in every now and then just because I'm always conscious of the fact that this may be a relatively newer player's first time coming to YouTube and seeing some of these videos. And one of the big things to think of is when you've got the spare mana, go ahead and don't wait for cards like this. Go ahead and put your enchantments out, unless you're reasonably sure that you're going to die a quick death. These guys are relatively slow. They're setting up enchantments instead of creatures. So this was a good deal to try and get some early damage in by buffing the creature up pretty fast. And even now, after all that, they're still setting up. Which works for us. Now, what horrors are they going to unleash on us now? For 5 mana, they should have... There you go, I was going to say. You should have something you can do. And that gives them their draw card advantage. So they got when they enter and at their upkeep. And what do we want to do with that? Let's go ahead and use our mana now with the flash spell. Now if they have something that's 6 mana, they could just bring it out, and they didn't. But they got a big draw card advantage on us now. And they're still not satisfied. We got 2 2s. Yeah, I was hoping he wouldn't put him down. Let's see. Destroy target creature's mana value less than. Okay, so you die now. And then, since you're tapped out, this turn You die. And I can still get in for 3 more points of damage. Because I had 2 creature reveals. And we're actually running out of ammo. I need 1 more land so I can keep the party going. Otherwise, if I stall out here, with him putting him down, I may be out of luck. He may rapidly develop an army. Another lead the Stampede. We got Love-Struck Beast and... what is that one? Oh, is that the dragon? Okay, so what are we gonna do? He can put down that dragon, can he? I really needed that extra land. Alright, I'm kind of stuck. They can't bring down Old Gnawbone free of charge, at least. He's still scrying. They still get the draw card advantage, though. Regular draw plus the draw from Colossal Majesty. Ah, they finally have other color. And they can use that to add any other color they want. I still need 6 land to bring Dirge back down. Is he also going to bring the dragon in? No. A different creature that can also kill me easily. His engine is working nicely. And he didn't even bother with Love-Struck Beast. And I didn't get my land. Oh. Okay, this is going to be fun. How do we get out of this one? And that guy has trample. Well, they all have trample right now, don't they? Because of Garrick's Uprising. So close and yet so far away. Okay, I'm not going to be able to get through his army there, am I? You know what? We're going to let it through, though, anyway. I don't think I can mutate Dirgebet onto a human. I could have flashed it in. But none of that is enough to help me. And this is probably my mistake. Don't really need that anymore. I should have flashed in Dirgebet a while ago when I had 4 mana. I was really stuck on the higher mutate ability, and this is really a good lesson for the newer people that are used to hoarding. and always wanting to maximize the efficiency of the cards is it can blind you to the fact that necessity sometimes should be telling you that you should be doing other stuff, right? If I flashed this in earlier, I could have flown over everybody's head and maybe killed them already. Let's see. Do any of these guys... Okay, we have Gnawbone. He's having a lot of fun with all of his mana and stuff. Draw card advantage. All of his land. Alright. Okay, so now we flash this guy in. I can't get past the dragon. And I still never got my extra land. The one extra land that I needed the whole time. And it's all pretty useless. Alright. I'll let you assemble your army. I messed up. I probably should have won that game. Don't hold out for the mutate if they're not going to give you the land. Play the card at its cheaper ability, and it may work out better for you. That's the lesson here. There's some of these YouTube channels, the gamers only want to show you their wins. I'm trying to take a deliberate opposite approach. When I make a mistake and it costs me the game, I really want to stop and highlight it and make sure that the lesson is taken to heart for perhaps me as well as the viewers. And that last one highlighted one of my biggest bad habits of holding on too long to cards to try and maximize their value. When you have options, the options are there for a reason, so try to make sure that your brain remains flexible and that you're willing to make the choice to do something differently than what your habit might ask you to do. And sometimes that's just a problem for us YouTubers because we fall into a sort of autoplay as we talk because we're concentrating on what we want to communicate to the audience. And maybe not fully concentrating on the game that's in front of us as much as we should. Let's see if we can kill it now. It just saves us a little bit of trouble. It tells me you don't have a snakeskin veil in your hand right this second. Really? Hang on, you're tapped out, so I don't care about that. And I'll use all my mana right now to get rid of you. And go grab another card. Okay, now the cool part is, it doesn't matter if you can block me or not, I still get to draw my card. He's not bothering to block, are you? You are. Okay, I still don't care. I could probably kill him. Let's wait and see what happens, though. Ooh, that spell can't be countered, so Drown in the Loch does me no good whatsoever. Okay, he gets to draw if somebody attacks. So let me go destroy a creature now. Because you're tapped out. Unless you tap for mana with Jespera himself. Okay, so they'll get a card. But I get my land. And you get to lose Toski. I still get to attack and draw my card. And that's why I waited on things like Capture Sphere. We've got another Toski. Okay. Well, let's go get a card. That's fine. I meant to go mutate that. Oops. Let's see if that mistake cost me the game. Toski has to attack every turn, right? Okay, so we will block with you. We will murder you. We will attack with you. That's an okay start. Okay. Is he saying good game because he's gonna quit? Or is he saying good game because he's enjoying the game? Alright, let's see. We'll get rid of you, get you out of the way. Since we're all tapped out, let's go ahead and go for broke and put on as much pressure as we can. With 6 mana, he might have a pretty good at this point. Or just a really good card. Okay, we'll stop you. What's that give him, like 13? Okay, so let's go look for something. I got a Heartless Act in here, right? Ta-da! And that's all we need. We also have the Decklist possible. Alright, I think we're going to leave it there for the night. I'm fond of saying I could just keep playing forever and lose track of time, but all good things must come to an end. Alright, this is the wrap up for the deck. It still plays pretty well. I'm still prone to making the occasional rookie mistake every now and then, but sometimes it'll cost me the game, sometimes it won't. The makeup of the deck turns out to be really good. I've got enough of these draw card advantage different creatures in here that I can usually get one of them out early in the game to keep me, keep my hand full of spells, and I usually don't have a whole lot of problems getting the land I need, although I did have that one time. The time that I lost. But yeah, if you want to copy this deck list and play it while we still have the chance before the September rotation, it's a little bit different from a lot of your average decks because I don't really subscribe necessarily to the idea of setting aside 24 lands and then clumping up your 36 other cards into 9 groups of 4, and always just having like a bunch of 4 drops. You'll notice I have 1 copy here, 1 copy here, 1 copy here. I've got a lot of different cards in there, mostly because I didn't really want to have, 4 Dirge Bats. That might give me some mono problems in terms of mutating everybody. It would make more sense if I had a pure mutate deck, but I had this combo thing, as you can see, where I had a little bit of mill, a little bit of draw, a little bit of flash, a little bit of mutate, and that kind of combination with all these different special unique cards with their unique capabilities really turns out to combine quite well together. The only thing that I made sure to do a 4-drop is Compound Fracture, because Compound Fracture improves with each successive card that you're able to play, and that makes a lot of sense. For these others, I just sort of put it together the way that I wanted the deck to go, and it still does really well. It holds up really well a year and a half later. So yeah, if you want, take this deck out for a spin and have some fun with it, and I certainly do. And that's all for today. Come back tomorrow, because there's always going to be a new deck around the corner at Tpull's Corner. Have a good one.